LegacyMaker, the all sports network.
This is it. This is for all the chips. Work for championships. No, it gets no better than this. Just sit and relax a bit. We're talking to pass and blitz. We're talking to jump and switch. We're talking to pitch and miss. Cleat space, kick space. You come to the right place. Beat bait. I don't need to see other shows. I'm straight. Cause they're not impressing me. I tune into Legacy. Legacy. Fourth and goal and on the road. Legacy. Down 3 seconds to go. Legacy. 2 out, bases loaded. Legacy. It's not a mystery, you're tuning to Legacy. Checkered flag on the final lap. Legacy. 12th round, who gets in the mat? Legacy. You want a legacy. You build a legacy. Broadcasting live right now so the whole world can see.
Now, the LegacyMaker Sports Podcast.
Welcome, everybody. We about to get this bad boy started.
Here are your hosts, Darrell Owens and Jay Quimby.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boys, Darrell Owens, and the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. Jeremiah Quimby. We are here for another episode of the LegacyMaker Sports Podcast, episode 309, here on this May the 10th. We're 5 months into the year, Jay. 23 has actually picked up a little bit. I didn't realize we're almost midway through, man. We're almost midway through.
That's what it calls when you get old, bro.
Yeah, it's actually creeping up way faster than I would like. But it is what it is. Look, y'all, we're here for a short time today. We're going to bring you 30 to 45 minutes today. Me and Jay will be back tonight with James Brown and our LMS contributor, Joy Raymond. So we'll be back tonight for Legacy on Fire at 7. So if this isn't enough of what you need today, you can come back at 7 and get a little bit more at 7 o'clock. With that being said, we got like I said, small compact show today, but we want to get into some things. You know, me and Jay didn't get a chance to talk to you all about the draft, our thoughts on the draft, how things went. We're going to talk a little bit NBA playoffs. Tiger Woods got some stuff going on. But so we got a couple things that we're going to get into today and kind of break down. But before we get into that, Jay, how have you been doing, sir?
Been well, just living life, you know, head spinning on, you know, going here, going there, doing this, doing that. I mean, just wanting a little time to, what is it called? Oh yeah, sleep. And then people are like, well, you just went on vacation. They've never vacationed with my wife. Now, it was the most choked vacation we had, but we want to get as much done as we can and have as much fun as possible. So,
I mean, look, for those who've never been to Disney World, they don't realize that it's not just it's a hike. You're not sitting still most of the time. You're running and gunning. There's a ton to do. So you're not just, we're here just chilling. No.
And there's like 4 or 5 parks too.
Right, and it's 6 trillion degrees outside. So you got all of those elements kind of like cranking into it. So unless you've done it,
Jesus didn't want you to sweat in.
You're right. Then on top of that, Jay and Becca will be heading down to Darlington this weekend to cover this weekend's race. So good luck to you guys. I know it's going to be a good time down there in Darlington.
Hey, did you see the end of last week's race?
I didn't catch the last week's race.
It was funny because, you know, our Denny Hamlin kind of side drafted Mr. Larson into the wall, and then there was punch thrown at the end. I think Chastain punched Noah Gragson. I mean, and they got the camera. You can hear him connect. It was solid. The look in Noah's face was like, oh. Shit, that hurt.
Ain't nothing better than a good old NASCAR fight. Ain't nothing good, but you know when they get out the car and they get to swinging, man, it's always a fun deal. Remember, it was a couple years ago. It was Brad Keselowski and was it Keselowski and Jeff Gordon that got into it? Oh man,
I think Jeff Gordon.
It might have been Kyle Busch. I'm pretty sure Becca will correct us on that. I'm pretty sure.
Who was it that got in a fight a couple years ago? Rebecca.
Don't worry. I'm pretty sure she'll tell us in the comments. All right, look, let's go ahead and get the party started. Like I said, we got a little time with y'all today. We'll be back at 7 for Legacy on Fire, but let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk the NFL draft, winners and losers 2023. Jay, a lot of people say that this is the type of draft that there wasn't a lot of losers in this draft. A lot of people felt like this draft was so solid all the way through for the most part that a lot of people got better in some way. Now, I know that's not the case. I know there's probably a team out there you said, man, they just didn't do too hot. But before we go to our winners, well, give me a team or two that you was just like, you wasn't a fan of what you saw from them during the draft a couple weeks ago.
Well, one of the biggest losers for me is, and everybody's going to be like, oh, no, they didn't do it, is the Jets. The Jets got okey-doked because and by Bill Belichick yet to boot. Because when they did that trade for Rodgers, they fell back 2 spots right behind Belichick and the Patriots. And they made a deal with the Steelers because they knew the Steelers were looking at a tackle. Well, so was the Jets. The Jets were looking to help secure old man Rodgers. And basically, I think they got a 4th rounder to move 2 spots. Most time you're looking at a 3rd to 2nd rounder next year to make that move. So they did it for a little bit of nothing and a big FU to their division rivals.
Yeah, I mean, you got to love that. Even in the draft, it's like Bill Belichick still playing chess when other people are playing chess. So he's like, look, whatever it takes, whatever like small advantage I can pull out there. Real quick before we get into it, Becca says it was Brad and Jeff Gordon. So it was for Brad and Jeff Gordon that got into it. I think it might have been his last year, but I remember them getting into it. It was great. Now it's okay. You go. I got one for you though, and I'm staying in that division. I'm going with Buffalo. Buffalo got Kincaid. I was looking at this earlier. So they got Kincaid, which I love Kincaid. I thought he was going to be in Green Bay. I thought he would have been a good spot in Green Bay. They needed a tight end, which they ended up getting 2. But I thought, Kincaid was there, or at the time, of course, JSN. I thought, one of those guys would have been perfect for Green Bay. You know how I felt about that. But I look at the rest of this, and Osiris Torrance Torrance, my fault, from Florida, Darian Williams, which was Lamont's sleeper, Justin Shorter, Nick Brucker, Alex Austin. None of the names popped off the page for me, and I felt like with Buffalo, they needed a running back, even though they picked up running backs in the in the free agency. Jay, I just felt like they could have done more, and I don't think they had a really stellar draft, in my opinion. So Buffalo was a team for me that I felt like took a little bit of an L in this one.
Well, I'm not going to disagree, especially knowing the fact that they I can't remember his name. Ertz. Ertz got traded to the Cardinals, and they were in the talks to get Ertz in Buffalo. And, they got Ertz the same time that I think they drafted Croft and or somebody. And Ertz, I'm not saying Kincaid's a bad thing, but they had more pressing need at linebacker because Edmonds being gone, Edmonds didn't live up to the hype that they wanted.
Right.
But he was the mainstay besides Poyer on that back. Poyer ran that back end, let's be honest.
Right.
He still does. But the production, the numbers that Edmonds put out, that's hard to replace. I felt that they should have went with one of the top tier guys. Like, I know they didn't pick there, but Campbell, Detroit was my other loser. And people are going to give
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Their second round was amazing. I'm not going to take anything away from them. Branch should have been a first round guy. They got him in second. They got him at like 48th or something like that. I don't know. And for me, it was they reached for Gibbs. Gibbs was a huge reach. They traded back, the Vikings. Some of the shit they didn't make sense because they traded with you all and they traded with Detroit to make moves in the and you don't normally work with division rivals, Gibbs, I know they sent Swift to the Eagles. That wasn't working, but running back, besides Robinson, I didn't have a first round grade on any other running back. I barely had a second round grade on any other running back, if that makes sense.
Right.
But
it's tough for me because I think Lamont had Detroit as one of his winners. I think he felt really good about Detroit's draft. I didn't have any problems per se
with the draft,
with it.
like you said.
Right. I didn't have any problem with even with Gibbs. A lot of people could say, okay, we know what Gibbs' ability is. Also, you look at Swift being hurt all the time. It's like, okay, Swift's always kind of banged up. here and there. They did get rid of Williams. I understand them going running back to an extent because, and then who did they pick up? They picked up a guy in the offseason that was a solid run. Now I can't even think of who it is, but they picked up a free agent running back during the offseason period. So I understand why they went the way they went. But I will say this about Buffalo. I don't even think they needed to go tight end with that first pick because you look at what they have at tight end, and my man had a really rough year last year when his brother died. Oh my God, I don't know why I'm having a brain fart here because he's one of my favorite players on the team. But why am I having the brain?
Dawson Knox.
Dawson Knox, there you go. So Dawson Knox is still, in my opinion, a good tight end. He had a bad year last year, or maybe not as productive. But Josh Allen really wasn't giving him the ball last year like he was the year before. And then two, like I said, everything that happened with his brother dying right before the season start, that could have a big, weighing effect on somebody, especially when they were as close as they were going into the season. So them going tight end, unless they're, I can understand, I guess maybe moving on or having that extra piece, but I felt like in the first round for Buffalo, that was a reach. If that was the Giants or Green Bay or maybe even Cincinnati going after Kincaid, teams that I felt like truly needed tight ends, I would have felt a little bit more, like, okay, yeah. If anything, maybe a receiver or running back should have been there for Buffalo. But Buffalo was mine for one real reason. Just felt like they were a big loser for me because I felt like they didn't do what they really needed to do.
Because I'm looking at you were David Montgomery's the guy they signed.
David Montgomery. There we go. There we go. Thank you, Jay. I was like somebody was in there.
The reason, I'm not going to disagree with Ormont. After the first round, the Lions were winners. They got Hendon Hooker, who I think, if confined, doesn't have the RG3 fall off after the knee injury. Even if he does and he becomes a pocket passer, he still has, I would say, the second best, most dynamic arm in this draft.
Right.
And, I love CJ Stroud. They're like, well, he was throwing to great wide receivers. You watch that tape, them windows he was throwing that ball in, it don't matter how great your wide receiver is. The defense ain't catching that. So. Exactly.
Before we move on with the winners here, real quick, much love to Rick. Good to see you, Rick. Glad to see you in the room, brother. As always, a pleasure. Rick's been with us from the very beginning. Mickey Delaney, hi, Jay and Darrell. How you doing? I'm doing pretty good, Mickey. Thanks for joining us today, brother.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us. And Rick says, why draft a quarterback in Cleveland in the 4th round? Now, that's a very interesting one. They went quarterback, but I don't dislike the fact that they went quarterback because you got to remember Case Keenum is no longer there. And they did sign another quarterback, but Deshaun Watson, I think Deshaun Watson is going to have a way better year than he had last year.
Well,
he was kind of getting
last year. You said he's going to have that hangover from not playing.
Yeah, and when it kicks in, like he's going to have a whole offseason, long as Massage Gate 3.0 or something doesn't pop up. He is going to really have a good year coming up. Like, I think, like, you got to imagine not playing football for a year and a half being healthy. And he was healthy, and he just didn't play. Just imagine going through all that stress,
The quarterback position is completely different than, like, where AB or Le'Veon Bell took time off.
Right.
Because you got to be able to throw yourself back in there and read the schemes, read, your plays, what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't just fall back into that. That's repetition.
Right. And so for me, I think that I don't hate the move at quarterback, but there was a lot of quarterbacks picked in this draft. I remember them talking in day 3 at one point. I think by the 5th round, there was like 12 quarterbacks taken. I think it was like 5th or 6th round. I was like, man, that's a lot of quarterbacks for a draft. Even most drafts, you see like maybe about it's somewhere maybe around maybe 6, maybe 7, but they had like 12 people. Like there was a lot of quarterbacks that were drafted. Had Green Bay drafted another quarterback, which we knew was coming. But at least I knew it was coming. I felt it coming.
But you look at their quarterback room. They got Joshua Dobbs, who
Dobbs was the other one. Okay,
does great, but basically with Thomas and Robson, they get a younger version. I really felt that he fell too far in the 5th round. He should have been a 4th round, 3rd round quarterback. He's very Lamar-like in his speed and what he brings to the table. And the league is switching to that. Remember before Michael Vick, nobody wanted that running quarterback.
Well, no parts of it. Michael Vick changed the perception of the mobile quarterback. There were some people that fine-tuned it, that made it like, I would even give like Dante Culpepper some love, because Culpepper changed like the size and style of a quarterback that could run, like the Cam Newtons
quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah,
I know both of us love this guy. Is from Acorn State.
Hey, my guy. Look, Steve McNair.
I love McNair, dude.
McNair is my favorite quarterback of all time, and I mean that. Like, growing up, I love watching him play. If Green Bay would have traded for him for any reason, I would have been, even with Brett Favre being there or Aaron Rodgers, I would have been like, I'm all for it. That's how much I love Steve McNair. Still hoping that he gets in the Hall of Fame. But that's the one guy besides Sterling Sharp that I said needs to be in the Hall of Fame, and till this day. But yes, Steve McNair was my dude. I
mean, and that's a whole. I mean, we could even throw the Titans in there as a loser. I mean, another quarterback they traded a whole bunch to get back up to get Levis, who I think is just very much so Mitch Trubisky 3.0.
Yeah, you get Skoransky with the first pick, which is a solid pick. I mean, you can never go wrong with a solid offensive lineman. Levis, whatever way you want to go on that end. Levis had some questions as he came in, so that wasn't. But yeah, this draft is very unimpressive to me. Just looking at their draft there, I wasn't like, oh man, that thing is amazing.
Well, they felt. I think Willis's sample size is too small for them to just throw him off to the side, because the talent's there. Why not give him a chance? I mean, look how many times Tannehill down with Miami.
Right.
You were talking about in the South, Trevor Lawrence is now the most experienced quarterback in that division.
Yeah, I mean, because even with the Tannehill situation, I feel like who knows what they're going to end up doing there. We don't even know if he's going to start. So as of right now, yes, I guess you can say Tannehill by default, but Trevor Lawrence is probably the best quarterback in that division right now. I'm going to throw one more team before we move to our winners. I didn't like what New Orleans did, even though they drafted Brian Breesy, and then Breesy, like a couple years ago before he got hurt, was in some people's eyes a top 10, top 15 guy. I don't dislike that move, but the rest of the draft just seemed a little bit. They got Kendre Miller, the running back from TCU, who could be a nice little piece for him. And then I like Nick Selderiri, almost destroying that wrong, from Old Dominion. A solid offensive tackle. But other than that, it really didn't pop. And I feel like the New Orleans' biggest concern was defensive line heading into this. And I mean, that they may have got like a smidge better, but I don't think it was really, taking that big step forward. Now, winners. Give me a couple of your winners before we move on to our next spot, brother.
The entire state of Pennsylvania.
I knew that was coming. I was waiting for the entire state of Pennsylvania.
I mean, they both the Steelers and the Eagles filled needs. I mean, it looked like the Eagles are going to change their names to the Philadelphia Bulldogs,
which is important.
I mean, rotation and line is going to be feared. They're going to be a top 3 defense this year. If they're not, then they need to fire their DC, hands down.
Hey, touche. Looking at this Steelers draft, you get Broderick Jones in there, who I know you were high on. Broderick Jones, he comes in, they get an extra. But here's the kicker, though. You get a guy that a lot of people were saying he's the first or second best cornerback in the second round. Then on top of that, it's a legacy pick. Enjoy Porter Jr. And so you bring in the son of one of the greatest Pittsburgh Steelers of all time. This kid's got talent. He's going to be special in his own right if he stays healthy, and he's got potential to be special in his own right. It was just and then they got Nick Herbig from the center from linebacker from Wisconsin. I like that pick too. Who
led the Big Ten in sacks.
Yeah, so a really nice draft for Pittsburgh.
Oh, hands down. Joey Porter fall on that. It don't make sense to me because of his length and his skill set. You have heard nothing about bad interviews, anything like that. I don't know why he fell, but the Steelers, they made, I mean, they're just like, hell yeah, let's get it done.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the luck of the draw. Because if you're Pittsburgh, this is beautiful. You got to look at the fact that, all right, you needed offensive lineman, big need. You get one of the best offensive linemen in the draft, bam. Then you need a cornerback. And you happen to get, in a lot of people's eyes, maybe the best cornerback in this draft at the first pick of the second round. So, like, you got two really top-notch guys in those first two picks, man. It's a beautiful thing. And the Eagles get Jalen Carter, who a lot of people say, look, he's the best player in this draft. You know, people were saying that heading into the draft before the incident happened. You got Carter, you got Nolan Smith, who was the workout warrior during the combine. Keely Ringo, who a lot of people were high. We had him in our first round of our mock draft, and they get him in the fourth round. So what a
you know, you forgot two people for Pittsburgh. They got Darnell Washington.
That's right, Darnell Washington. Yep, 6'7",
and runs like he I mean, yeah. And then in the seventh round, they got Corey Trice, who I compared to Emmanuel Forbes.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't got quite the amazing ball skills that Forbes has, the build and the coverage he's got.
Yes. That's one that I will say. Washington. Speaking of one of my winners, Washington did a really good job in their draft. You know, you get Forbes, who I think, if I'm not mistaken, 6-7 pick sixes in his career.
Yeah,
which is insane. And the guy is 6'1", 166 pounds. But like, you could tell the excitement that Washington had once they had Forbes. I'm gonna get a chance to see him on Friday. I can't wait to see him in action on Friday. I look at this, and you know, Washington has done a really good job drafting the last 3 or 4 years. Maybe the teams haven't been great, but if you look at the talent they brought in, some of those talents have played well. They just, maybe some things just didn't click on certain aspects. But Dotson, McLaurin, Sweat, Chase Young. I mean, they Cameron Curl, guys that they just continue to hit on. And so I think Forbes is another one of those guys. Jartavius Martin. You know, you get him at safety. I know how much you wanted him, Jay. I know you wanted him down there in Tampa Bay. And Martin is another one of those, just like some people compared him to Brian Dawkins. That is high praise.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you can get him in that, you know, at that position, it's beautiful.
The only man to ever come back to Philadelphia and not get booed once he went on to a different team.
Yeah, they're not booing. They not booing D-Hawk, man. They look, B-Dog is the man. I couldn't see them doing that. That would have been crazy. KJ Henry, Chris Rodriguez Jr., another solid running back that they picked up. So I like the Commanders draft, but the team that I really like their draft, and it may be an obvious one, but for me, the Texans. You know, C.J. Stroud. You go out there and get, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the draft overall. I think Bryce had the higher talent, but you know how I feel about Bryce. The biggest thing with
the
me
higher it factor.
The higher it factor. But I love Stroud. Then you go and get Will Anderson Jr., who most people say, hey, he's you know, if 1A, 1A/1AB with Jalen Carter as the best defensive player in this draft. You know, and then the guy that they got that I wanted in Green Bay so bad, I wanted Nathaniel Dell, the receiver from Houston. The kid is going to be special. If they can click in Houston, he's going to be special. So I like what Houston did in their draft. I really did.
First year, head coach Ryan's and the GM, Ryan told him what type of team he wanted to build.
Right.
So, the question for me is, are they going to keep, oh God, I can't think of his name now. Let me look.
You talking about Davis Mills?
Davis Mills.
I think you still keep Davis Mills there. I mean, obviously he's got some time in at QB. Even if you don't want to start Stroud, you can start off with Mills. A lot of teams like to do that. They'll start off with the guy just to kind of give him a taste, and that'll be Mills' chance to kind of maybe hold on to that job. But then also in some cases, you just want to get your guy in there, get your starter going, get your future of the team ready to go. And I could understand that they should decide to go that route.
Shaking my head at this defense, man, because last year they took Derek Stingley Jr.,
mm-hmm.
who I in my dumb head had him higher last year than Juice Gardner or Sauce Gardner.
Well, I wouldn't have said it was dumb. I think we knew Sauce was talented. And we knew Stingley was talented, but Stingley was coming off some injuries and stuff like that. And it's a little tough when you go to Houston and there's no direction in the franchise. So you still could be right down the road, So let's go give yourself some time on that.
Jimmy Ward, Steven Nelson, Corey Littleton, Denzel Perryman are all people they picked up in free agency, along with Sheldon Rankins.
Yeah,
I know he's long in the tooth, but the wisdom he could bring to show for Will Anderson. Could you imagine learning on that? Would be like us learning under like Robert Mathis.
Yeah.
There's a throwback.
Yeah, right. But it's critical though. Sometimes you need that veteran presence in there. I think Houston's gonna be a better team this year. I'm not gonna say they're gonna go win 10, 15 games, nothing like that, but they're gonna be a better team this year. I think we'll definitely see improvement. Any more winners before we move on to our next topic?
NFL quarterbacks getting their paydays. I mean, as far as the draft, they were smart. Remember Sam Bradford signing the $50 million guaranteed, and now they put a cap on that.
Right.
I think they're going to have to stop. I know they're putting their bodies on the line, but $50 million of a $280 million salary cap goes to one player, and you have to fill 58 players.
The NFL's got to figure something out with that. Because here's my thing: I don't think they don't deserve the money. I got to make sure. I think I know what you're feeling on it. Yeah. Because when you look at the NBA and you look at Major League Baseball and the contracts some of those people are getting, and they're not even the number one sport. They're not even the number one sport in the country. In the United States. And they, so I could see the players, in my opinion, they put more strain on their body. They should probably get more money. But, the NBA and the MLB, they got it going right for them. But they also have more games. So it's a lot that kind of goes into it that you would like to see. But you're right. When you got somebody who's taking up, I don't know, 85% of the roster, we just got rid of one of those guys. And so, and shout out to Green Bay. Solid draft. I'll give you credit.
I'm excited to see what your quarterback does.
I am too. Jordan Love era. Let's go.
My team is. This is going to hurt, but I say by the trade deadline, if we have fallen and we've only won one or two games, and this kills me, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and maybe even Shaq Barkley will not be on the team.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, but you know what, though? Evans has been there so long. He's been so serviceable to the team, man. He's been a very important part of the Tampa Bay culture.
He's restructured his contract 5 times to help the cap.
Yep.
And they're going to have to ask him again because we don't even have enough room to sign all of our rookies yet.
See, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't know if it may be time. It may be time. You hate to say it. But we've all been there with some of our favorite players, man. It sucks. It definitely sucks. All right, everybody. So those are our winners and losers of the NFL draft. Next, we're going to go to our next topic. Here's a fun one.
Has Tiger's world turns?
So Tiger Woods' situation is wow. So
I read up on it last night.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, keep it in your pants, bro.
Yeah, so this situation is a little bit weird because, I guess they signed some type of agreement at the beginning that
she signed an NDA.
Yeah,
but she was his employee. And I can't say nothing about dating employees. So, but he made her sign an NDA and then told her that she could live in his mansion for 11 years, and kicked her out. And so, had her or set it up like they were going on for a weekend away. So she went to the airport and met him, and then he changed the locks on her.
Tiger, hey, that's a dirty move though. Tiger Woods is
dirty,
bro.
And told her to quit her job because she was working running his restaurant down in Palm Beach, and had her quit the job because she needed to be there to spend time with him and his kids. I think he just got a really expensive babysitter.
That's crazy.
That he could, do whatever with when the kids were sleeping.
Come on, you got to do better than this, Tiger, man. Look, I know that the career is not hot right now.
She is suing him for $30 million.
I mean, but you know what, though? I don't know if 30 million seems like a bit much to me. Only because, like, all right, 30 million, the money-wise, I would at least, she does deserve money for maybe the time that, you told me to quit my job, and now you told me this, and that. I guess whatever her salary, well, maybe it is. Maybe whatever her salary is for the next 11 years is what he deserves to pay.
Well, they were together for 6 years.
I didn't even hear about this chick before.
5 or 6 years, but she's suing him for the remainder time that he said he could live in the condo or in his house, mansion, and what it would cost for her to live in a place that's similar.
I said $30 million, though? Well, that's a lot of
money. $1 billion.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, $30 million, if you're worth that much, is not a lot. I know
that's
it's a lot.
That's true. I mean, I feel what you're saying. But man, $30 million is a lot.
Well,
I mean,
the man after the last stuff would.
It don't click, man. Some people just never get it. And here's the thing: it's like, I hate to throw this type of person, but it's like AB type situation. But Tiger is more. This is, God forgive me, this may be wrong, but Tiger is more distinguished, I guess. And it's not as messy. There we go. That's the word. Tiger's, it's messy, but it just doesn't feel as messy.
I was gonna say, how is it not?
But
messy?
I mean, I think you know what I'm saying? Like his messy doesn't seem as messy as AB's like type of messy, or maybe like a Kanye West type of messy. Even though it's messy, it doesn't feel that way, if that makes any sense. Like, I know what he's doing is wrong and it's right up there, but maybe because he's Tiger Woods, it's like, maybe it's not as bad. Like, that's how people think.
We all see Tiger as the man that took, for a long time, the color barrier no longer existed when Tiger Woods was at the top of the game.
Right.
And himself and his dad, they destroyed that wall. Hands down. Every kid went from wanting to be Michael Jordan to being Tiger Woods.
Touche. And it changed, Black people's perspective, or anybody, be honest with you, any minority perspective.
Because I mean, he was before, Serena and Venus took over tennis. So I mean, he definitely broke that color bond.
Yeah.
In all white sports. I hate to do that, but that's
we'll say majority white sports, because it was pretty much 99, 98%.
BJ Singh was the only.
Yeah, BJ Singh was the only one out there. Or maybe, wait a minute, don't forget about my guy, Jose Oberthable. Jose Maria Oberthable. He was out there. Throw him in there.
I'm trying to think of the other guy that was in Happy Gilmore that kept shaking his head. Lee Trevino.
Okay, yeah, Trevino. So this is crazy. But Tiger got to find a way, man, to like. He lives a very toxic lifestyle. And it's weird. It's a very toxic lifestyle, but it's so weird because like I said, for whatever reason, it just doesn't feel as messy, even though it's just as messy. It just doesn't feel as messy like a AB or when.
This could be taken out of content. That's what I'm going to say. But having a father, the way he looked up to his dad, and the way he's acting as a dad, his dad would smack the shit out of him.
Yeah, it's really weird though. Like, it's really weird because look, maybe he'll get it together. I really don't know. But he's
like a 15-year-old boy. If it's got, nice curves and a smile, he's after. Am I wrong?
Hey, look, man. Look, remember when, like, and before we move on, but remember when, what do you call it? Remember when he got in trouble for the first like 15 girls he was messing with?
It was 23.
23. Yeah, excuse me. I don't want to sell him short.
And then I have an addiction to sex.
Yeah.
You're married. Go see your wife and let her know what's going on in your head.
But the thing was, like, the women, and forgive me, this is what people were saying. People was like, look, these women are not lookers. And they were just like, this is what people were saying. I didn't get a chance to even look at these women, so I'm not gonna like judge them based off of that. But what people were saying, it was like, yo, Tiger, you was just comedians. I remember comedians was like, you were just grabbing whatever chick you could, didn't make a difference. He was like, hey, you got a smile? Get on over here, be a winner. That's what he was doing, like, at least according to what other people were saying. So yeah, streetwalkers. That's great. But yeah, with Tiger, Maybe he'll get it together. Who knows?
You got
man.
changed for 100.
Yeah. Next one. Last one on our main topics before we head to Catch the Trash. Thoughts on the NBA playoffs so far, Jay? It's been a fun ride. Right now, these are the series. You got the Miami Heat up 3-1 over the Knicks, and then you have the Sixers last night defeating the Celtics. So they're up 3-2, one more win away. They're heading to the Eastern Conference Finals. They can get a dub. You had the Nuggets beat the Suns last night, so they're one win away from the Western Conference Finals. And then maybe the shocking one to a lot of people, the Lakers have a 3-1 lead over the Warriors. What are your thoughts on the playoffs so far? And just in general, what are your thoughts on this playoffs so far?
Steve Kerr, you got to have a talk with your guys. They got to step it up. And they said in the press conference they've been down 3-1 before, and they've come back. LeBron is doing his job, but the unsung heroes are I can't think of his name.
Lonnie Walker. Lonnie Walker had
showing up, dropping 15 points. That 15 points is what made. If he would have missed one of them shots, that game is by Golden State's. So, but I wouldn't count Golden State out. I never at all. But Anthony Davis they should call him half man or 50-50 because he's only been half a man and he only plays half the time.
You funny. Now I will say this. Between Lonnie Walker's big game last night, Rui Hachimura, former Washington Wizard, has been having an amazing play. I think if I'm not mistaken, they said at one point he was leading all bench scores in playoffs. He had like 108 points, and then the rest of the bench scores the rest of the bench scores had like 107, which is crazy, which is really nice. So look, they're doing things. It's very interesting. I will say this part. What I haven't liked about this playoffs, it's been fun because it's been kind of unpredictable. What I don't like about what things have been so far is the injuries to the major stars. That part of the game has kind of sucked a little bit. You see Embiid been hurt for some period of time. Giannis was hurt. Chris Paul, Kawhi, Paul George, Jimmy was hurt for a little bit. Durant was hurt. So it's just like injuries. De'Aaron Fox was hurt in the first round. So it was just like you hate to see all the injuries from the major stars, especially when the playoffs come around. Like most of these guys rest most of the year, so you want to see them 100%. That part of it I think has sucked a little bit, but the playoffs have been exciting and they've been fun so far.
I was disappointed in my Cavs, but they didn't come to play, and they thought they were going to get the street version of the Knicks, like what they're doing right now. And I mean, I really think that we're going to see if Chris Paul can get his vajayjay, all tender and good. We'll see the Suns play the Heat.
Look, I don't know yet. I want to see my guys go back, but I got a bad feeling if we go back, we're going to play the Lakers again, and it might be the same. Might be the same story.
Say no to that, but I mean, you got a whole different team.
Yeah, I mean, we got a couple. I don't know, man.
They're hungry.
If Tyler Hero was still playing, I probably would feel a lot more, better. But I mean, look, Jimmy's playing ball right now.
They're hungry.
So we'll see. But before we move on to Cash or Trash, our man LA Broder says, "Look at Jay looking like some steak and eggs, ladies and gentlemen."
Just for you, LA, bro.
Only for you, LA. Only for you. Steak and eggs in the morning. Hey, all right, everybody. We got
stuff. Where he covers the Browns, not to.
Yes,
on
the
Browns.
Make sure you go check out our guy LA. Part of 3-Point Conversion also has Brownstown USA, the podcast. Go check it out if you're a Browns. Rick, I know you're a big Browns fan. Check out our guy LA. They talk all Browns all day on.
How the hell can you be a Browns fan and root for that team up north? Rick, get your shit together, bro.
It's like, how you doing this to me? All right, y'all. You already know what time it is. It is time for.
And now it's time for Cash or Trash.
finish this short edition of the LegacyMaker Sports Podcast. But before we hit our cash or trash, before we get out of here, remember tonight, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, 7 p.m., Legacy on Fire, myself, Jay, James Brown, and our LMS network contributor, Joy Raymond, will bring the heat on Legacy on Fire. So make sure you return at 7 to catch us on that. Now, let's cash or trash it. Here we go, Jay. Cash or trash? Did Lamar Jackson make the right move re-signing with the Ravens? Cash or trash that he
Cash. The coach needs to go, but, you know, I watched a little bit about his backstory with what his mom would make him do. She would tackle him with pads on. His mom helped negotiate this deal. He did all this stuff with his mom without an agent. Kudos to him for, you know, and his mom being a single mother doing what she does. She saw the talent, and they're bringing in the players he's talked about. If they don't win it this year, or at least make it to the AFC Championship game, that's on Lamar at that point.
Yeah, he's got to win a playoff game.
Yes,
he's got to win a playoff game. That's a huge step. MVP locked and loaded. Big contract locked and loaded. Now, look, and this is not me trying to be nasty, but just put up a shut up for him right now. Like he's got the money, he's got all. They're starting to bring people in for him. They bring OBJ in. They actually went and got him some receivers. I'm like, okay, they're trying. So now we got a new offensive coordinator. We'll see what happens. Now with me, I am going to cash it as well, and it's only because I don't know what other place. The only other place in my mind I thought he might have had a really good chance to go and might have really helped his career would have been Indianapolis. I think Indianapolis would have been the spot with the head coach and the mindset that the head coach had out there.
I don't hate that. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, I don't hate that.
But for me, I think him going to 49ers. The 49ers
are that would have been the one. That would have been the one.
And him being a quarterback there would have – can you imagine that offense? I'm just like,
yeah, right. Exactly. Real quick, shout out to our guy Joy Raymond, who's on there. He said cash, absolutely cash. The wrestling realm, my guy Brian H. Waters, Dwayne Allen, and the crew over there. Much love to those guys doing great things out there for wrestling fans. He says, "What's up?" He said, "Lamar will bring the ring here." You know, Brian's a huge Ravens fan, so he's a little hype about what he could do.
I didn't like the Zay Flowers pick. I thought, okay, I'm not going to say I didn't like it. I love Zay Flowers. Met him, great human being, great ball player.
Mm-hmm.
But that inline slot speed, he's got the ability to play the slot, but he's smaller framed man. So he's going to take a beating, especially in that division.
Well, the black and blue division is a little tough. I will say this, though. They like receiver wise now that you got OBJ, if he stays healthy, that's great. And then you got Rashad Bateman that you're still trying to see if he can be a good piece.
And Devin Duvernay still there.
Yeah, Duvernay had a really good beginning the last season. So who knows? I mean, Zay Flowers, like you said, is one of the toughest receivers. But he also they're not gonna play games with him. So I'm excited to see what the Ravens do this year. I know last year, and I'll probably talk about this on Legacy on Fire tonight. I know I trashed them last year. Well, I thought that this would be the team on the downfall, but they've proven me wrong. But that'll be a topic for tonight.
Harbaugh's ass has got to they got to fire him sometime.
He got to get out of here. Next one on Cash and Trash. Will 2024 be the last time? Let me put it this way: will Kyler Murray be in Arizona in 2024? Cash or trash?
I'm going to cash it. Mm-hmm. I don't think I'm going to say he won't be. I'm saying he won't be.
Oh, okay.
You're saying will be a Cardinal.
Yeah, pretty much. Will he be an Arizona Cardinal in 2024?
No, he will be a game tester for Call of Duty and Infinity. I don't think that him and the coach are going to be on the same page. I know that the coach signed on knowing that this is his quarterback of the future, but I want to see him do good. But every draft pick that they've taken in the last, we'll say 5 years in the first round has just fluttered out and not done a damn thing.
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember how pumped everybody was about Isaiah Simmons? They didn't pick up his 5th year.
Yeah, that might be a good thing for him because something's up in Arizona. They needed some culture change there, which is crazy because they were 7-0 2 years ago, and ever since they lost to Green Bay, things haven't been the same. Like they went from being 7-0 and barely like they made the playoffs, and then they got beat up by the eventual champion Rams, and then at one point they had lost 12 out of 13 home games. How's that possible? Like in Arizona, because Arizona's always had good fan base. Like, how are you losing those games at home like that? I just thought that was insane to me.
And Buda Baker requested a trade out. They're talking about trading the best wide receiver in the National Football League. He's got at his defense, and they're talking about trading him. There's definitely some. The head coach has got to come in and say, this is the way it is. If you don't like it, be gone.
But they've got to fix it. Because there's I wasn't a fan of the coach pick. I really wasn't a fan of the coach that they selected. I feel like they've done ever since they've done Steve Wilkes wrong, because Steve Wilkes had 1 year there. And I feel like it's just is doomed. It's doomed to be bad until they rectify things with Steve Wilkes. That's how I feel about that, man. They did my man dirty, gave him 1 year. Took the quarterback, sent him away, and then Kingsbury was there for a couple years. Now he's gone. So I don't know. We'll see what they do. All right, last one on Cash or Trash before we get out of here. Cash or Trash. Now, Denny Hamlin has won, I think in the last 10 Darlington races, he's won 3. So he's won 3. Eric Jones has got 2 in there. So Cash or Trash, Denny Hamlin wins in Darlington this weekend.
Trash.
Who do you got?
I got Logano won last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think, he done really good at the beginning of the season. I think he's going to continue. If it's not Logano, it's Larson. Larson will put Hamlin's ass in a wall and be like, "Payback's a bitch, bro."
He coming for him. You know what? I'm gonna cash it. He wins it again. Denny gets on these little streaks, man, and it's just at the beginning of the season he can do really well. It's at the end of the season where things don't go quite his way, and he doesn't end up winning a championship. So I'm gonna cash it. He wins this weekend. I'm gonna go with Denny. I'm gonna go with Denny on that one. So we'll see how it goes. All right, everybody, that is it for this episode.
Come on, let's do that last one. You know you want to.
What last? Well, hold on. Wait a minute.
Aaron Rodgers and the Jets.
Oh, shoot. Did I have that on there as one? I don't have a graphic for it, but we'll do it anyway. All right. Let me see. Sure did. Okay, here we go. All right. So, all right. Cash or Trash on Aaron Rodgers, becoming a Jet, being a Jet. What's your Cash or Trash on that one?
Oh, somebody just hit me with something. That one's trash. Aaron
Mm-hmm.
Rodgers is gonna flutter away. They'll make the playoffs. That's it.
I'm going to. I don't know. I guess I cash it. We're starting over, so I'm happy now. And I love Aaron Rodgers. I want y'all to understand I love Aaron Rodgers, but it was time for the Jordan Love era to begin. I'm ready for it. Hopefully, good things will happen from it. That's all I can say.
Wouldn't it be like bittersweet if you all met in the Super Bowl against him?
It would be bittersweet, extremely bittersweet. But as long as we win the Super Bowl, I don't care. That's all I would care about.
I know they haven't dropped the schedule completely yet. Have they?
No, they did the international games this morning. They're going to do the rest of the schedule tomorrow. I think they're going to drop something else tonight.
They got to find a way to make y'all play in New York during the regular season.
Yeah, I don't think it won't happen. I don't think we got them this year in New York. Washington plays them in New York, so I can't wait to see. I can't believe I got to watch him in the Jets uniform. That's going to be crazy. Well, look, everybody, that is it for episode 309 of the LegacyMaker Sports Podcast. Once again, everybody, thank you all for tuning in. We truly appreciate it. Make sure you check us tonight on Legacy on Fire. That will be going down at 7 p.m. tonight. All right. So, look, thank y'all. Truly appreciate it. Jay's got some NASCAR business to attend to, so we're going to go ahead and get him out of here so he can get that going. Also, just a quick heads up. 101 season 4 starting in June. We got 7 people already lined up for the beginning of the season. We'll keep you updated as that goes along. Once again, everybody, thank you all for tuning into episode 309 of the Legacy
Love your
Sports
people
Podcast.
and God bless.
That's right. Peace out, everybody. Peace.
show.